Dude,
live
fuck
shortly.
Malanthropes. Fuck them.
Oh, just
hate
like
them.
having to, yeah.
Yeah, fuck them.
I bet. Where is...
I'm almost done with him, but holy shit, it's gonna be a nightmare to paint his fucking shell.
I bet. There it is. Now, if it could go to allow me to do the go live thing, that would be cool. Because it's not doing that. There it goes. And we are... We're live!
All right, where's the link? I'm gonna open up multiple windows of it.
No.
Yes. I won't click any ads. It won't be fucking illegal actions.
There we go.
I have an ad blocker anyway. Fuck our ads.
I sense the finger quotations in there. It won't be illegal.
Yeah, it won't be illegal. Yeah, okay, so that's one.
Oh,
God, open up like 3 windows.
I don't think it counts for more than just you doing it once.
I don't. I didn't fucking ask, did I?
Okay, well, hey, there we go.
I'm watching the podcast on 3 different windows.
Oh my God.
Turn them up so I can hear myself talking 4 times in a row. Oh God.
Why'd you do that?
Oh God, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Woo. Woo.
Hey Nugs, how's it going? Yeah.
Wow, don't do that. That is actually the worst.
Well, hello out there. Welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Gradon95.
I am, as usually, as of recent times, your second host, ItsSneakyAdolf.
And I am your third host who just learned to never enact a 4-way echo.
Yeah.
Because holy shit. Have you ever held like walkie-talkies like towards each other and then talked into one of them and it's a positive feedback loop that makes them fucking explode or some shit?
It makes them like ring really loudly.
It's so weird.
Well,
yeah, that's how that works.
They don't actually explode, but they get louder and louder, which is really weird.
Yeah.
According to the documentary I saw called Lethal Weapon, it did.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a good documentary.
It's a good one.
There's 4 different ones, or wait, is there 5? Might be 5. I don't remember how many lethal weapons. Oh, are there 6? Jesus.
6, according to Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
there are a
documentary about lethal weapon.
True.
Yes.
There are a lot, though. I do know that much. Okay, so.
You know, actually, if you're into documentaries, I got a good one for you. It's a documentary about New Zealand called War of the Rings.
That's true. It is quite a good documentary. You're right.
I never knew they had so many orcs over there. No wonder people were getting pissed off at people calling orcs black people.
What did they wind up doing with that Sauron fella?
He's in prison now. Multiple life sentences.
Fair.
Not that'll matter anyway, but
yeah. Well, you know,
you think people would always be more mad about the black orcs in Warhammer than they would about orcs in D&D. You know what I mean?
Oh well, yeah. They just wear black armor, and that's literally it. You know.
I know, but they call themselves black orcs, so
people.
Then that's enough logic for people like that to get pissed.
Yeah. So anyway, let's start off with comments like we usually do. I can follow along with my copy of the book. This should be fun. Good. Lord of the Rings is the only part of their history class in New Zealand. That's true.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so, starting off with comments. We just have one. It's from Lux. So
yeah, I was gonna say, as soon as you said we just have one, I'm like, I can sense there's more.
More of a sentence.
This was posted on last week's episode. The talking about lore of Warhammer 40k and building stuff, and it doesn't have anything to do with it because we were talking about it. He was actually there for it, so I figured he wouldn't have any questions about that. But he did comment saying, I guess I'd better do something for a comment here. Sure. I was only joking about writing 5 comments in 1 week and dooming all of humanity to a slow, terrifying death. I'm much too lazy to write 5 comments in 1 week. If I'm going to do anything on the level of destroying the human species, I'm going to need to become a demi-lich first, and I'll have to establish a pretty extensive degree of control over the fundamental forces of the cosmos, which is all going to take quite a bit of time.
Well, let's be honest here. At this point, all you really need to do is bioengineer a relatively harmless virus, and then and just let people kill themselves.
I'm sorry if this disappoints anyone, but unless I come up with a sudden breakthrough pretty much out of the blue, you're going to have to wait a while before you can experience being consumed by an indescribable horror, along with your world and everything you've ever known. A lot of work goes into this kind of thing, but since you seem pretty enthusiastic about it, I'll try my best to make it happen. Thanks. Yep. Appreciate it.
I mean, hey, that sounds nicer than what we got right now.
Also, I went ahead and watched Cody's video about quitting Pathfinder 2e and Brogan's response video. And okay, Cody at least seems honest about the stance he's taking. But still, Brogan's right. Every problem he brought up is something a DM can fix. Just tell players they don't have to optimize their characters and don't design all of your encounters to push them to the absolute limits of what they can manage. If a player wants to retcon their character's abilities because they optimized them and now they're bored, then good, let them do that. That player has just learned that a TTRPG character isn't simply a vehicle for mechanically optimized powers and is comfortable enough with the difficulty level of what they've been running into to tone their own abilities down a little bit.
But how else are they supposed to win?
Right?
That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to win the tabletop RPG.
Of course, it's also possible that a player could think up some particular build they want to make because it sounds cool in their head, but when it comes to actually playing that character in a campaign, it turns out to be more repetitive than they realized it would be. Even if it isn't necessarily...
Look into Zbashu's True Strike video.
True. Even if it isn't necessarily even optimized. If that happens, it's still not the system's fault, it's just that the player didn't think about what it would be like to actually play a character build that way. That can happen, and if it does, you just let the player do whatever they need to fix it, and problem solved. Alright, this qualifies as a comment. Work complete. Have a nice week. Thanks,
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a little shorter than
take?
you thought. Like 2 minutes.
This is fucking weird.
Right?
This is gonna be a long podcast.
Well,
now we have 2 hours of videos, or 4 hours of videos instead of 3 hours.
Did you guys also hear about Dungeon Craft and his thing on Paizo and Danger being bought by Witch of the Coast? Yes. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
And then there was also the Garibay video.
Yep, that's also a thing.
And I showed that to Brogan, and his only response was, lol, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that'll do it for the comments. So let us move on to the topic of today. Blades in the Dark.
A game which none of us have ever played. I don't believe.
None of us have played it.
I've never even heard of it before now.
Well, so you have. That's the thing. It's been mentioned multiple times in the chat on occasion when we talk about rogues and such.
Stealth stuff.
Yeah, stealth stuff, definitely. And it is apparently also made by Evil Hat Productions.
Oh. You mean the legendary creators behind Thirsty Sword Lesbians?
Yes.
The top-selling RPG of this decade?
Yes, it is. Good evening, Indigo.
Part of that was a lie.
Evil Hat Productions of Thirsty Sword Lesbians fame?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that's a much better way to say it, damn it.
But yes, so I'm very interested to see what this is about because everybody likes it as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
So
it seems cool because I love stealth adventures. It's just always a shame because most of the time in a D&D group, unless you set up your campaign that way, there's usually only ever one rogue or at least one stealthy type rogue, you know?
Oh, okay, correction. Evil Hat publishes it but did not design it. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, see, like because I love doing stealth stuff,
Mhm.
but it's usually just one player. And so if you have a game of stealth stuff, you know, and then see what I want now is I want to have Blades in the Dark where you can do quiet payday missions and loud payday missions.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That's what I want.
Amish, hey, what's up? Says, I think part of Cody's problem is that the more choices you make in character creation, the less you get to make in play. Which I don't know if that's his problem. I don't think that's even true.
Honestly, with the way he worded so much of that video, it's really hard to tell, because half of the time when people were calling him out for the legitimate stuff that he was saying that was incorrect, he always just responded with, "Oh no, you don't get it. You just don't get it."
Yeah, there was a few times. So, well, that and like, I don't know, man. It's just, like it was said, I think a lot of the things that he had issue with is something that he could fix himself, being the DM. And so, I don't know, man.
to be fair, it's not the job of a DM to fix a fully published game.
No. We're not talking about the system itself. We're talking about what the players are encountering and like all that kind of stuff. Like
I agree for that. Like, players can back themselves into a sort of a corner which is harmful for the health of the overall game.
That's what I'm talking about. Nothing about the system itself being an issue, because it isn't the system's fault that players can do that, right? Like that's something that players just can do regardless of what's happening. And like all of the, you know, make an encounter that requires more choices, or not requires, but enables more choices than the most optimal one every time, I guess, and all that kind of stuff. Well, we talked about it before. We have a whole podcast on it. Go listen to it. We have two of them.
I'd like to see someone design a social encounter in a campaign where Cody has made a hyper combat optimized fighter that sucks at talking,
right?
And then he'll be like, "What?"
True. Blades in the Dark is like having a group made entirely of Pathfinder 2e rogues, all of different subclasses. Okay, cool. Did Cozy put out another video, or is it the same one that when he ranted about Pathfinder 2e not giving players choice? Same one.
Yeah, but he did make two. He made the first one and then a response to all the backlash he got.
Yes, exactly.
And then he had a little bit more explanation as to what he meant.
Yeah. Anyway, so let us move on to the video. Everyone in?
I suppose we should get together.
Well, so while you're getting in, this is why you should play Blades in the Dark, brought to us by Dicebreaker.
Don't fucking tell me what to do.
I'm always eager to learn a new system.
Exactly. And then I have another one prepared if this one goes a bit short, but we shall see.
Always happy to learn what my sixth campaign will be in.
Right, yeah. Or, hey, I'm gonna play in 8 campaigns. There are only 7 days in the week.
Yeah. Did you hear that Brogan signed up for another one?
Did he? Oh my god.
He's playing in 5 different campaigns now.
Very good.
I was telling a friend of mine what days I'm available to play games with them on, and I'm like, they're like, how about tonight? And I'm like, I'm busy. And they're like, I'm like, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, I'm busy, guaranteed.
Yep. Who's not in here?
I'm in here.
I'm loading.
Oh, okay.
I've got that rural Maine internet.
Yeah. I feel you. Another thing that I do want to note, actually, while we're still waiting. Apparently, I found this before. Let me see if I can pull it up again. There is a Blades in the Dark website, in fact. that has like the core rules and everything on it. It looks like
as a PDF.
No, it's just the site. You can buy the PDF through it, but it is the site itself. Here, I'll send it to you guys in the Discord. But yeah, it seems like a really good just little site here that has all of those fucking rules, and it's really cool. So highly, you know, it's always a plus when they put out stuff like that, you know, where it's just like, hey, you want to play the game? It even has like a downloadable starter kit, which is great.
Nice.
Should also mention Blades doesn't necessarily have to be sneaky. You could have a group of people more focused on hired muscle and play it in that style. It just has great...
so you can do loud payday missions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It just has great stealth support for sure. Similar
Judgment
to
calls, game structure.
Similar to the Pathfinder site. It starts with an A, and I don't remember what it's called, but yes, okay. The website is basically the same as that one. Nazoth, I think, is the last in the end part. But yeah, it's really good for rules. Aiden, your shit is taking forever.
I like the dice stuff.
Yeah, just start without me now.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
They've even got shit on downtime, which is cool.
That's good.
Much from Dicebreaker since we launched just a few weeks ago, you'll doubtless be aware that Blades in the Dark is one of my favourite pen and paper role-playing games of all time. It's an exhilarating game in which you play as a gang of scoundrels in the dark, murky city of Duskval, a roiling cesspit of criminal factions that's haunted by ghosts and surrounded by a wall of lightning to keep out yet more ghosts. With a litany of gangs controlling every street, square and back alley, the odds are stacked against you as you try to climb to the top of the criminal underworld. But then, to you, stacked odds are as natural as the smog in your lungs, and you're ready to take Duskval for all it's got. This is why you should play Blades in the Dark.
How is new money coming into the city if there's ghosts outside?
First, Blades is a pleasingly fast RPG. The rules powering this game are laser targeted at cutting down the kind of interminable planning that can dominate pen and paper role-playing sessions, instead getting you right into the middle of the action without leaving you feeling unprepared. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in pen and paper role-playing games, players like to plan. A lot.
True.
And to be honest, that's understandable. Going into a situation with at least a vague idea of how you're going to tackle it feels like the responsible thing to do. The only problem is these plans tend to go straight out the window at the earliest opportunity, and if those plans are especially detailed, they don't so much resemble an outline of how the encounter is supposed to go as a lot of wasted time and effort around the table.
Well,
in Blades in the Dark, you simply aren't allowed.
I think that depending on your group, I think that tends to be less on the players not like ignoring their plan and more just the dice fucking their plan.
Right, and I think that's what he means. I'm not sure, but
that's fair.
I could imagine.
But yeah, like if you have an adventure laid out where you have to sneak into this place or you got to steal this thing, then most of the time you will come up, again, depending on your players, if they're good role players, they'll come up with a pretty detailed plan if they have like all the information that they need. But again, it's when it all comes down to random dice rolls, then
yeah, there's gonna be an element of things that just don't go right. Blades is really cool. That's true. From everything that I've heard, it seems really neat. Archives of Nephis, that's right. More on setting. Imagine the world of Bloodborne, Dishonored, and Thief all had a love child where the world is in perpetual darkness and full of giant demon whales that power a lightning wall. Yup.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea how hardly I was like just pounding both hands with like the rock on symbol.
Hell yeah.
To plan ahead. When you decide you're going to attempt a mission, or a score as they're known in the game, you pick your target.
Oh, okay, he didn't read it. Okay, I want to actually read this then. Your crew spends time planning each score. They huddle around a flickering lantern in their lair, looking at scrawled maps, whispering plots and schemes, bickering about the best approach.
I want to steal these rules and play a Warhammer 40k where we're all playing Skaven.
Oh, sure,
and we're like kidnapping people from an Imperial city. Fuck,
sure,
that'd be awesome.
Anyway,
sorry.
Lamenting the dangers ahead and lusting after stacks of coin. But you, the players, don't have to go do the nitty-gritty planning. The characters take care of that off-screen. All you have to do is choose what type of plan the characters have already made. Oh, okay. There's no need to sweat all the little details and try to cover every eventuality ahead of time, because the engagement roll, detailed on the next page, ultimately determines how much trouble you're in when the plan is put in motion. No plan is ever perfect. Ain't that the truth?
I like that. That's cool, because
that sounds neat.
The way he was wording it at first, everybody always, everybody hates planning. Everybody hates when people are, making Rube Goldberg machines.
Sure.
But to me, I still think that that's fun. But if you're doing it this way, where you have, a set number of plan types, and then I assume you can probably kind of, make your own plan type if you want.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I like that, because it still lets us be okay, we need to get this thing. How do we want to do it? We want to do it like smash and grab. We run in there crossbows ablazing, or do we sneak in at night? Do we do it Mission Impossible style? That's really cool. I like that.
Absolutely. That sounds really neat. What I would say is, I would imagine that there is still it still allows you to do a whole detailed plan if you really want to, not just
there's nothing stopping you from that.
Exactly. But you can't account for everything. The system assumes that there's always some unknown factors and trouble. Oh, that's good. Major or minor in every operation. You just have to make the best of it. That makes...
And
you know what?
I
That's
actually
great.
really like that, because that one line right there, they always assume there's some unknown factors and trouble. That kind of is a written statement that gives the DM the ability to fuck you over if things are going too well. You know what I mean?
Well,
so,
sure,
well, say, basically, it can be as simple as, say your operation, your score is going really, really well.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, a guard that wasn't on the projected, schedule walks around the corner oh shit, we didn't account for this. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't feel as though you just oh, they're doing really well. Here you go. Have a fucking wrench in the works,
Right. Yeah, no.
It feels a little more natural.
It does, and I can... Honestly, in those kinds of things, you can kind of assume that things are going to potentially happen that way anyway. At least I would, because I'm like it says, you're not going to account for everything. There's literally no way you can account for everything,
Yeah.
But yeah.
As they're known in the game, you pick your target, for example, Ironhook Prison or a private club in Silkshore.
A cult.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Engage a supernatural
You can do
power.
it with the magic? Shit, that's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we have assault to do violence, deception to manipulate, stealth to never be seen. Occult, you've got supernatural stuff. Social, negotiate, bargain, or persuade. And transport, carry cargo, or people through danger. Oh, a fucking escort mission. I
wonder what is a hard line between deception and social. They kind of sound similar.
I guess
social would be paying people off, whereas deception would be extorting them and being hey, I know this thing about you. You don't want everybody else to know.
Maybe, yeah. That's definitely some manipulation, definitely. What I would say is that with something like deception, you can let's say you pose as a noble person, right, to get into somewhere in order to case the place and actually get information and then get to the object, whatever it is you're going for. Maybe it's not an object, but regardless, you do that. And then social would be more outside of it, more negotiating maybe with other gang leaders or the guards themselves, trying to bribe them to get you things, all of that kind of such or stuff. Bargaining, I guess. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It is a line. You're right. There's some line that's there, and I don't know
that's
exactly
kind of that's kind of a blurry line between those two. But now, all of a sudden, what I really, really, really want to do is, if we ever ran this game, I would kill to like start the campaign, like when you're like kids and you're going to steal like a sack of bread.
Are you
and
also
then, like,
thinking
time
Sly?
skip forward, and now we're all like best friends, and we're still doing shit like that. That'd be fucking great for rapport, dude.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great. Are you also thinking Sly Cooper then? Because
yes,
that's exactly what I was. It's just as soon as you said we're all children, I was like, oh, so exactly like what happens in Sly Cooper, huh?
I forgot that actually happened in Sly Cooper until you mentioned.
So there you go.
Because it's been years since I played any of those.
Yeah.
There was actually a D&D one shot I did with it was the players were all a bunch of orphan children, and there was a new candy shop opening in the city.
That's right. I remember you talking about this.
But they didn't want kids coming in and like fucking up their shop.
Yeah.
So they made entry like you had to have a guardian figure with you.
Yeah.
And they had no one. So they were trying to like stealth their way into like the new candy emporium.
Nice.
Sounds great.
And like I'm actually kind of really intrigued by just the word occult.
Oh yeah.
Immediately I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, are we summoning a demon and the demon's like, hey.
Yeah,
we're like, hey, steal this thing for us. He poofs. Poofs back. Got it. That'd be funny.
Is Yogg-Sothoth gonna help me into Amazon headquarters?
Fuck yeah, dude.
Get me in there, dude. I gotta get all this stuff.
I swear I'll dedicate it to you.
However, I'm a bit sort of like taken aback by the social aspect.
Okay.
Because like I get having a contact, I do. But like if you're going to try to use like insider information and like eyes on the inside and stuff, that would be just prep.
Yeah,
like, you should know a bit about your mark before you go in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's with the social one. I'm not sure if it's exactly what you were describing there. I think it's more you have if you have eyes on the inside during the heist and you don't have any, and everybody else has a job that they need to do that isn't being able to keep eyes on things, that's where that would come in.
Maybe. I don't know, because it is one of the plans that you pick, right? So
it's true.
I looked at the site as well to see if I could get any additional information, but I'm not seeing anything more than what's there that says like these are the few plans. Maybe somebody in the chat, if you could enlighten us more. I mean, I would not hesitate to buy this PDF. It's already intriguing.
Yeah.
But
if you're familiar with the system, just tell us the information about it, and we'll pay you.
No.
See, y'all, that's how you use the social approach.
There it is. That's a negotiation and even a bargain.
Bonus points for getting all three.
Right.
Oh, never mind. I was gonna say bonus for getting all three like types in there, but some of them don't have 3 types.
Yeah. So Nug says, part of the approach to a mission is people choose a light, medium, or heavy loadout. Light is inconspicuous, medium might be suspicious, and heavy is obviously trouble. You choose first...
a dodge build, a normal build, and a tank build.
Yes.
Yes, as they say, so it's literally payday.
Yes. You choose first, then pick items. I see. During the mission, up to a maximum amount allotted by the load. You are always prepared and don't have to keep wondering, do I need this or not? Okay. Very cool. Give me a sec, try to find it. Okay. Just get back from walking the dog. What's the question? Well, we're trying to figure out the difference between deception and social. Just a hard line of like, what's the difference, you know?
Yeah, because they both kind of seem very, very similar. And
they can blur together,
bleed
definitely.
into one another.
Yeah, as far as we're aware. Anyway.
Yeah.
You pick your infiltration method, stealth say, or maybe deception, and then that's it. The GM considers some of the factors counting for and against the players, rolls some dice to determine how strong a position they're in at the start of the score, and then
Okay, wait. Engagement rolls. Once the players choose a plan and provide its detail, the GM cuts to the action, describing the scene as the crew starts the operation and encounters their first obstacle. But how is this established? The way the GM describes the starting situation can have a huge impact on how simple or troublesome the operation turns out to be. Rather than expecting the GM to simply get it right each time, we use a dice roll instead. This is the engagement roll. The engagement roll is a fortune roll, starting with 1 die for sheer luck. Modify the dice pool for any major advantages or disadvantages that apply. Interesting.
And also that all the dice you roll are d6s apparently.
Yes. Okay. So I think this is using the same. Either this is using the PDF or the site. No, I think it's the PDF because this is in the same font. But I can look at the site itself to talk about a little bit of the major advantages / disadvantages. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? Take +1 die. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? Take -1 die. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Take a +1. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? Take -1. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? Take +1. Are any enemies or rivals interfering with the operation? Take a -1.
Ooh.
That sounds awesome.
Now, actually, I would love it if there was like you take this kind of stuff and then I think it would work better if it was in a different setting, because it seems like in this setting, it seems like every other criminal organization is kind of at each other's throats,
right?
Trying to climb over each other.
Sure.
I would love it if there was like a big mafia guy who was like, I oversee like all the crime, and there are like 2 gangs that I really, really like. So you 2 try to steal the same thing, and the first one who gets it gets made.
I feel like
that kind of shit would be
I feel like
awesome.
I feel like that's still possible in this kind of system. It would just be whoever is ahead of this particular whatever faction, does the same thing to the people underneath.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never mind.
Yeah. Are there any other elements that you want to consider? Maybe a low tier target that will give you a +1 die. Maybe a higher tier target will give you a -1 die. Maybe there's a situation in the district that makes the operation more or less tricky. The engagement roll assumes that the PCs are approaching the target as intelligently as they can, given the plan and detail they provided. So we don't need to play out tentative probing maneuvers, special precautions, or other ponderous non-action. The engagement roll covers all of that. The PCs are already in the action, facing the first obstacle up on the rooftop, picking the lock on the window, kicking down the door of the rival gang's lair, maneuvering to speak with the Lord at the masquerade party, etc. Oh, there you go. Okay, social would be like that, maybe. Maneuvering to speak with the Lord.
To the mark.
Yeah, just talking to get the... Maybe it's like a whole information gathering kind of thing. And then you in order to do that, you have to talk your way through like a bunch of people,
I play Payday. Talking?
True.
The only talking we do is when we scream at each other to get up.
True. Deception is more when you're knowingly lying to get what you want.
And when we tell each other who sees.
Yes.
No one sees. That's the answer every time.
Okay, so think of...
ask, they're dead.
Okay, so think of social...
If force is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think of social as being more if having a legitimate way of doing something, or maybe going to talk to a rival gang. Deception might be disguising yourself as a member of the rival gang. Makes sense.
Okay, I like that, actually. That makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blades has a detailed list of factions you're competing with, and all of them are just as criminally minded as your crew is. Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
The start of the score, and then bang, we cut straight to it. No journeying there, no endless discussion of what happens if X, Y, or Z, just an immediate running start. But as I mentioned in our video, 10 great RPGs that aren't Dungeons & Dragons, not doing any forward planning doesn't necessarily mean you're going in unprepared, because in Blades in the Dark, You plan backwards. At any point during a score, players can call for a flashback and describe a scene in which they made preparations for just such an eventuality.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we've talked about this before, I think, in multiple different things.
I believe so, yeah. I don't actually really mind it because these flashbacks cost a currency, effectively.
True, I guess.
It's just weird.
Yeah, it's better. Sorry, go on.
So I won't say I'm like the hugest fan of it, but then again, I have no experience with this system.
True.
So it may just be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I will say what it brings, like what it conjures, is the Prince of Persia. Like, no, that's not how it happened. Sort of mechanic.
Yeah. For me, I guess it's better than Fate's, in a way, because well, even with Fate, you're technically spending stuff.
Yeah, you're still spending stuff. I mean, you're still spending stuff in this.
That's true. I don't know. My thing is always.
I think it would be better. Oh, sorry.
No, my thing is always just like I understand that there are going to be complications. I feel like dealing with those kinds of complications is better than saying, "Oh no, I did this beforehand." Before the plan even started taking place. Like, I thought that was a part of the planning.
Yeah, it just feels weird.
It really does.
So I will agree that being able to just pull a MacGuffin out of your pocket that fixes your problem does seem cheap, even though it does cost a currency.
Sure. Yeah.
However, I would be very much a fan of a type of system that allowed for players to sort of like have a timeout, I guess, so to speak, where something happens that is a bit of a complication.
Sure.
And then the players go, all right, timeout. It's now a week ago, and we're going to try to do something that will solve this for us.
Oh, okay.
And at absolute best, this flashback totally nullifies the current complication. At worst, the flashback that we're going to start playing out make the current complication way worse.
Yeah, actually, that does sound a lot better. I like that a lot.
Now, my thing with that is that
I would.
I like where you're going with that, but I think the problem would be that in the middle of the mission that's taking place, you say flashback time, and now you're on a whole other adventure, and it just kind of interrupts stuff. So I think that might slow it down a lot and make everything feel a little bit too disjointed.
It could.
But don't get me wrong, I do like that. Because it's basically just an expansion of the flashback idea, and it makes it feel a little bit more sensible rather than just being like, there's a locked door. I prepared a lockpick earlier, remember? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know how you fix it.
In a situation like this, like you play out the making of the lockpick and find out was the lockpick you made shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair. So, well, what I will say is that there's more to this. Obviously, they do have this stress cost, which, maybe that will persuade me more. Let me read this real quick. The rules don't distinguish between actions performed in the present moment and those performed in the past. When an operation is underway, you can invoke a flashback to roll for an action in the past that impacts your current situation. Oh, you roll for it. Oh, weird.
Oh, okay, so you don't just get it automatically.
Okay, that's good. Maybe you convince the District Watch Sergeant to cancel the Blue Coat Patrol tonight, and you make a sway roll to see how that went. The GM sets a stress cost when you activate a flashback action. 0 stress is ordinary action for which had an easy opportunity. The cutter consorted with her friend, Trail, to agree to arrive at the dice game ahead of time to suddenly spring out as a surprise ally. 1 stress, a complex action or unlikely opportunity. The Hound finessed his pistols into a hiding spot near the card table so he can retrieve them after the pat down at the front door. 2 or more stress, an elaborate action that involved special opportunities or contingencies. Okay, wait. So stress, let's see if I can get some more stuff on that in the rules here.
Yeah, what I would like to know is how much stress do you start out with per thing? That could be like a level thing.
Well, no, I think stress is like the difficulty of it. Oh, here we go. Stress.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, wait, no, okay. Player characters in Blades in the Dark have a special reserve called Stress. When they suffer a consequence that they don't want to accept, they can take stress instead. The result of the resistance roll determines how much stress it costs to avoid a bad outcome. Okay.
That sounds so funny to me. It's like, oh, guys, there's a fucking lockpick. There's a door here. Fuck, I'm so stressed. Oh, it's okay. Okay, good.
I don't want to deal with it. There's so many factions that are given in a blurb to play with, and I want more games to have them included. That's fair, yeah. Stress is used for multiple things, and spending too much will lead to permanent consequences to your character. Spend all your stress and gain... spend all your stress and gain a point of trauma, and having 4 means insanity or death. Okay.
I'm sorry. What?
Okay.
To be fair, this game is somewhat Lovecraftian.
It seems
It's true.
So
that just sounds funny to me, man. Then I must be really insane from the time I worked at Chick-fil-A.
Well, no. It's trauma. The trauma points. 4 trauma points.
Oh, I know. You take 4 stresses, you get a trauma.
No. You take... Wait. Having... No. It's having 4 points of trauma leads to insanity or death.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you get trauma?
Let me see. When a PC marks their last stress box, they suffer a level of trauma. So after you've used all of your stress, you get 1 trauma.
I see.
And then you get a trauma condition.
Ooh.
Trauma conditions are permanent.
Oh.
So, yeah, you don't want to run out of stress. Okay, so that causes a balance out. Okay, so that helps me out a lot, because using your stress too much to do these flashbacks, if that's what this is
makes you go insane.
Makes you fucking die, yeah. Because it gives you cold, you're not moved by emotional appeals or social bonds, so I assume you can't be good in social stuff. Haunted, you're often lost in reverie, reliving past horrors, seeing things.
Oh god.
Obsessed, you're enthralled.
Another nightmare about the door.
Obsessed. You're enthralled by one thing, an activity, a person, an ideology. Paranoid, you imagine danger everywhere, you can't trust others. Reckless, you have little regard for your own safety or best interests. Soft, you lose your edge, you become sentimental, passive, or gentle. Unstable, your emotional state is volatile. You can instantly rage or fall into despair, act impulsively, or freeze up. And vicious, you seek out opponents to hurt, opportunities to hurt people, even for no good reason.
Nice.
When you mark your 4th trauma condition, your character cannot continue as a daring scoundrel. You must retire them to a different life or send them to prison to take the fall for the crew's wanted level.
Oh, man.
That's super good. Cool. Okay. It works better than it sounds. Yeah, fair.
Oh my god, I love it.
I think they go over how trauma can actually help your character possibly later in the video. Okay. You can gain XP by willingly embracing the negative aspect of your trauma, but it will be worth it. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Okay. Now that is very similar to 7th Sea, where at character creation you take perks or traits and flaws, and when you act out your flaw accordingly, you get hero points, which lets you do stuff.
Gotcha.
Made preparations for just such an eventuality. If all the characters have been unexpectedly forced to leave their weapons at the gatehouse of a stately manor, for example, a player might call a flashback to the previous night when they snuck over the wall to hide a stash of short swords, daggers, and pistols in the hollow of a tree inside the grounds. If the GM agrees, they'll ask the player to take a point or two of stress. More on that mechanic later. We cut straight back into the action, and what do you know? Turns out our plucky heroes did have a plan, after all. So compared to some games, Blades in the Dark is lightning fast.
So, conversely, if they succeed, they take stress, and like if they or rather, if they succeed, they take stress and they've hidden their like weapons in the tree or whatever.
Right.
If they fail, then like the security at the party is like even tighter.
Right, yeah.
Because they found a stash of weapons.
Yeah, and they don't have their weapons.
Yeah.
So now they're attending event with like airtight security that is already like preparing for the worst and gonna be like on the lookout for any shady business.
Yeah,
and you also have no resources.
Right.
So now it is a high chaos playthrough of Dishonored, not low chaos.
True. Yeah, no, I'm much more a fan of it now that I understand it a bit more. Because like the fact that it is something that you do have to kind of test as well, which then could adversely affect or help. It really depends on how well you did. Like that makes it much better to me because it makes it a risk reward kind of thing. Rather than what Fate does with, I spend a Fate point, I have this now, right?
Yeah.
Which is what my brain immediately went to because Fate does that, and I don't like it.
None of us like it, don't worry.
Imagine getting both the vicious and gentle traumas together. Oh, that would be weird.
So that made me think of...
Yeah,
that made me think of a video that I've seen before from what the hell is his name? Awaken with JP, and it was just called The Sociopathic Empath. And it was like, I feel your feelings, but I don't fucking understand them. I have no idea how I feel, but I know exactly how you feel. It's great.
That's really good. I like that.
So that could be hilarious.
Yeah, that could be really fun.
But it manages to streamline itself without cutting out any clever planning or any of the meaning to be found in being prepared. If anything, it enhances that feeling because coming up with an inspired flashback in the moment and using it to make a daunting challenge easier is supremely rewarding. Speaking from a DM's perspective, it also keeps you on your toes because they'll always manage an exquisite flashback when you least expect it. I once had my player group, a gang called The Bad Consequences, trying to steal from an enemy faction that never spoke. Instead, they communicated in a secret sign language. And the moment one of my players figured that out, he called a flashback to a time when he did an extensive course in just that kind of sign language, and then he was able to speak it and decode absolutely everything they were saying. We flashed back to the action, it rolled on, and I was sat there thinking, why didn't I think that? That's the most obvious thing in hindsight. And that's why Blades is great.
Because I think that is a little bit too cheaty.
Yeah.
That's a little much, I feel.
It's like, okay.
That sounds like bad DM prep and a very easy workaround.
Yeah.
And then you ascribing that as praise of the system for no reason.
Exactly. I think that's something that, first off, I would go, how the fuck did you take a thing to learn this secret language?
Yeah,
right.
It's the thing that only they know.
Only they know they've created. How would you?
What are they holding classes on it?
Now,
I was gonna say they aren't holding night classes at the local high school.
Right. This is the thing.
The local heist school.
Heist. Nice.
Well,
I'm sorry. Anyway, go on.
Heist school.
Yeah.
There we go. You got it.
So the only thing that I would say that would make that work is if they didn't realize it then, they had realized it before, and he had flashback to, I had studied them by trying to infiltrate them and like watched their hand movements and all that kind of, tried to learn it through interaction with them, right?
Yes.
And not a class.
Yeah.
And also, like, but the other thing is, you can't also do that because, hey, you just realized this right now, you know? How, like, that, I'm like, okay, we can flashback for things like, uh-oh, the door is locked, right? Like, I need this special key, it's unpickable. Oh, I can get that key because I did that. Like, that I'm a little bit more okay with. A little bit, even though it's kind of still, like, but you're getting that stress and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But with something like, oh, I took a class for this secret language, I would have to
because
say,
because the thing is,
else.
if you're sneaking into a manor or something, and you're like, oh, okay, we cased the place, and I saw which doors were that appeared to be locked, and I stole a ring of keys from the guard captain.
Sure, yeah, easily.
Or I snagged his keys, took like imprints of them or casts or whatever, made new keys, gave it back, and so I have all the keys that I need. That makes more sense than just, oh, they're communicating with sign language. Turns out that this was in my college classes.
Right,
you know?
I mean, I understand it's not like that, obviously, but it's definitely like, how the fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just communicating in ASI. Okay.
Yeah, Awakening with JP is awesome.
Yeah.
Another way
I stopped watching him recently because he got way too into politics for the last while, and so I just, like, I'm not interested in politics.
That's
so
fair.
I haven't seen him in a while.
Another way to use stress is to lessen damage done to you. Think of it as uncanny dodge from 5e, but now you're spending stress to do so. Also, wound track instead of HP in the system. Very cool. I like wound tracking. That's fun. The flashbacks are intended to be like those in the TV show Leverage and the Ocean's 11 movies. No, I understand the intention.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah,
we've seen the movies.
Yeah,
I have at least.
I've seen all of the Ocean's movies.
I played Sly Cooper.
Okay, well, there are flashbacks in those. Spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I get that. But there's some things that I don't know if you could just flashback for. It would feel too weird and cheap like this.
Yeah, it feels too cheaty.
For the sign,
feels too retconny, I guess is the word.
For the sign language, you can also, as a GM, say that it's a lot of stress due to the amount of studying it took to learn, and then they have to hope they learned it properly based on their role. Yeah, sure. Yes. That's the thing. It's the amount of stress that you have to induce, which could make it so that it's like, okay, if you really want to do this, then yeah, you're gonna take a lot of stress, right?
Yeah, because you had to fucking cram.
Right, and then if they roll for it and they get it, like they don't do it, then you took a lot of stress, but you didn't fucking learn it. Right? Well, it's just like you're now in the same position you were before. You really tried back then, but now you're fucking stressed, right? That I can see is fine. The way he described it doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
The city streets are always a class in session. That's true.
Yeah.
I still think I'd like to see an option where, like, you put down, you say, how much does it cost for me to, like, double down on this? Okay. And then the DM pauses for a moment and he goes, it would cost you about 3 stress. Sure. And you say, okay, well, I've been watching this happen for a while, and I think I've got the gist of it, so I'm going to try to mimic it. And the DM, like, raises his eyebrows, and he goes, all right. And he rolls dice, and if he successfully, like, manages to dupe the other person and get away with it, it costs no stress. But if, like, he fails, then he's now used 3 stress, and the other person is like, they're interlopers here.
Yes.
We need to stop them.
Yeah, no, well, so that's the thing. If they do the flashback thing to try to learn it, they fail, and then they try to deceive them by trying to mimic it after that, then I'd be fine with it, you know, and then that's just up to whether or not they did it, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm fascinated with the idea of this because it's such a
alien concept, I guess.
Not really alien concept. It's just there aren't any RPGs that do it.
I would agree.
At least currently.
Well, aside from Fate.
it's very story driven.
Yes, yeah, that's true, and I do like that. I'm a fan of it. I'm just like slightly wary of it, you know, and that's just because I haven't played it. That's really.
It's because we're all rules mongers.
Oh,
well,
no. I'm not saying in its current iteration I'm a fan of it. I'm saying I have the fascination with the thing I came up with.
Oh, I see. Okay. Fair.
I too am fascinated by the things that I come up with. Have you guys heard of Devils and Dice? I also came up with that, and it is quite fascinating.
Good segue. Very cool.
Have you played Snake Snatchers? I have.
Oh my god!
Nice.
I heard that was made by the three of us.
That's true.
Oh my god, it was so fun, and it didn't take an hour.
The three of us, he says, except he fell asleep while Alejo and I continued to talk. And then fully developed a game system and dropped it in his lap, and we're like, do what you want with it.
We changed it entirely.
Okay, changed nothing about what we delivered him.
Bullshit, I changed a lot of shit, actually.
Back to the system and the other ways in which it excels shortly, but first I'd like to talk a bit more about the setting and what makes it so compelling. As I mentioned earlier, Duskfall is a dark, dirty, and thoroughly dangerous place. It's paved with hard cobblestones that glint in the unnatural glow of electroplasmic light. Electroplasm is energy distilled from mixing electroplasm drawn from hulking great leviathans, for your information. And its citizens are just as likely to stick a blade in your gut as they are to give you the time of day. It shares similarities with Peaky Blinders, with the Dishonored video game series, and with the brilliant fantasy novel The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch, which is one of my all-time favourites. As brooding and atmospheric as the city is, however, it's the other gangs and factions that really give it life. There are 48 factions in Duskfall. 16 of them are hardened criminal gangs, while the rest are split up between fringe elements and cults, like the Church of Ecstasy, labourers and traders, like dock workers and cabbies, and finally institutions like the Bluecoats, basically the police, or the Death Wardens, who are basically the ghost police, and are absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, that sounds so cool.
Different factions.
I want to play as the ghost police and steal from ghosts.
Oh,
that'd be awesome.
That'd be super cool.
Hold on, I gotta, because ghost police reminded me of something that I can't talk about in the podcast.
Oh.
It is related to a campaign
that you are currently running. I can assume. Otherwise, you'd be able to talk about it because you'd think people who play your campaigns are watching it.
Yeah, one of two campaigns.
Yeah, that's right. Double dipper.
Ghost police. Yeah, more like I can't tell people no.
Yeah. Talk to Brogan about that. You both have that fucking problem. Me and Alejo. No. You want to play? No, fuck you. I don't have
right?
the time.
Yeah, no, that's true. I will say no. I will just be like, no, I really don't have time. I'm sorry, but
sorry. I only have the mental capacity for one campaign.
How many campaigns are you a part of now, Alejo?
Wednesday, the one that I run on Thursday, Devils and Dice. Just 3 actually.
That's how many I'm part of right now.
Nice. Wow. Yeah, but I'm only running 1. So I have a little less mental taxing.
Well, technically, like, 1 has been on hold for, like, a while.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, at least it's that.
So I am, like, only actively DMing one of them.
I feel
if we count both campaigns where I am technically the DM, I'm part of 4 D&D campaigns now.
Yeah.
But
still not as many as Brogan.
True. Get on his level.
Yeah, no, that's just because I haven't heard the details of the other 3 yet.
It's true.
Fair. But why would there be a class for secret sign language only this one crew uses? That doesn't really make it all that secret. I agree.
Yeah, right?
The gang could be using like a church as a front, and the church could have its own sign language, but it's a lesser known church. So the chances of other people actually knowing it would be rare. So then it's oh, you found that? Really? Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the thing that I would do is if you threw a secret sign language at me and it was in a part of a criminal organization, I would just say that since my character was already a criminal, he tried to join them previously and picked up a little bit, before they kicked him out.
Oh,
or I did join them previously, and I picked up something.
Yeah, no, that's a good
that makes a
workaround.
lot more sense to me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely sensible. It's more sensible than saying a class.
Yeah, that's the thing. As long as you have a sensible way to tell how this is possible, then a lot of the time this is okay. It's just the people that are telling you how the system works often don't really word it very well. Which is a shame.
Turf, friends and enemies, strengths and weaknesses. There are loads of people for your fledgling criminal gang to target, in other words. And the best part is, it's all fleshed out for you. Your players can stick a pin in the map and say, we want to do a score here. And you could say, Crow's Foot. That's the turf of the Crows. They're a tier 2 gang, so there'll be a tough fight, but they're not insurmountable. Let's see, they hate the Dockers, so maybe you could appeal to them for a bit of muscle.
Ooh.
Although they are allied with the Bluecoats, so don't get caught. Whatever you do. Their HQ is, to be honest with you, pretty well fortified, although this is interesting. Their leader, Lissa, is pretty new to the job, so maybe there's a sort of organizational weakness that you could exploit. If the gang decided to do a bit of further digging, they might find out Lissa actually murdered the old boss of the Crows, a man named Rorik, and in fact his vengeful ghost stalks the city.
Dude, going to find the ghost and that would be so cool to use it.
And then convince the ghost to help you, and then
Yeah. Oh, that's super sick.
I'm into it.
That's so sick.
Might be able to perform a ritual to summon said ghost and offer to help it get revenge.
Yeah!
Now, that level of detail might sound like a lot, and to be honest with you, it is, but the good news is you don't have to memorize it all at once. You can just look at each gang as they come up, and also the information is very concisely laid out in the book. That's 4 of the factions right there on one double spread.
Wow,
and
that's
good. If you lean into these details, you're going to have so much more fun, because Duskfall is a very cramped, very claustrophobic city. It's got these 48 factions all kettled together, and most of them are scoundrels and killers, and every single one of these factions, whether directly or indirectly, is linked through this system of alliances and rivalries. You can't so much as move, in other words, without shifting the game's delicate, volatile balance one way or the other. Ideally, you'll be shifting it in your favor, but whatever happens, if you embrace the faction game in Blades in the Dark, you're going to have a really exciting and, let's face it, probably bloody time. Because if there's one thing Blades in the Dark will teach you about itself time and time again, it's that actions have consequences.
Okay.
Pulling off daring and chaotic heists is a great way to earn money, but it will also draw down a lot of heat on the gang, making you highly wanted criminals and getting you landed in jail, for example. Or it might pitch you into a...
Okay, before he goes there, I actually want to see that worst position. Because some of these consequences sound sick.
Yeah.
This consequence represents losing control of the situation. The action carries you into a more dangerous position. Perhaps you make a leap across to the next rooftop, only to end up dangling by your fingertips. You haven't failed, but you haven't succeeded yet either. You can try again, re-rolling at the new worst position. This is a good consequence to choose to show escalating action. A situation might go from controlled to risky to desperate as the action plays out and the PC gets deeper and deeper into trouble. Very cool.
So it's just pushing your rolls from Call of Cthulhu.
Basically, yeah.
Much. Except in Call of Cthulhu, you've only got the option to push it once. After that, it's just an auto fail if you fail.
Yeah, we've got other complications here in the rules that say Lost opportunity. This consequence represents shifting circumstances. You had an opportunity to achieve your goal with this action, but it slips away. To try again, you need a new approach, usually a new form of action or a change in circumstances. Maybe
That's
you tried
pushing your roll.
Yeah, maybe you try to skirmish with the noble to trap her on the balcony, but she evades your maneuver and leaps out of reach. If you want to trap her now, you'll have to try another way, maybe by swaying her with your roguish charm. And then, of course, there's harm, which, that's self-explanatory. You could die.
Big hurdy.
Yeah, big hurdy. If your character dies, you can continue playing them as a hull, a ghost driving a machine body. You could try to do that.
Way.
Yeah.
You could try to do that to the ghost of the previous gang leader.
So it's the fucking what's it called from 40K?
Servitors?
Yeah, dreadnoughts.
Oh, dreadnoughts. Okay.
Ha!
Well, they're still alive.
Oh yeah.
No, they're
No.
alive but also interred.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like the penitent engines as well.
True.
Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
Or arcoflagellants.
Yep.
No, they're
Them as well.
alive.
Well, they're both of them are. Penitent engines
Yeah.
are alive too.
Oh, but the arcoflagellants aren't interred in anything.
Oh no, they're
okay.
still free moving, but there's no coming back from being an arcoflagellant.
True.
Oh yeah, no, true.
That's true. Blades teaches you to keep your enemies close and your mortal enemies dead. True.
Nice.
Fun fact, jail has its own mini game as well for any players that end up there.
Oh man,
That's great.
Yeah.
Is
That's
it
super
Snake
cool.
Snatchers?
No.
No.
You highly wanted criminals and getting you landed in jail, for example. Or it might pitch you into a full-scale war with a rival gang when you only wanted to tweak their noses a bit. Moreover, death in Duskfall is taken very, very seriously, mostly thanks to all the ghosts. When somebody dies inside the city, an ethereal bell rings out at Death Weather Crematorium. It's audible at the crematorium, but also at the site of the death. And at this point, a Death Seeker Crow is dispatched. It flies over the city and starts to circle the area where the body is, getting closer and closer, and leading the Death Wardens in their mysterious robes and spirit masks to the corpse.
Were they
then
plague
remove it
doctors?
and they dispose of it at the crematorium in a special way designed to basically zap the ghost out of existence and stopping it from haunting the city.
I see.
There's really no way to kill a person.
Dude, I want to play a character that died and doesn't know he's dead, and his body never got properly like interred.
Right.
So he's a ghost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'd be super cool. I like the idea as well of like maybe being one who's on the run, like constantly trying to get away from this Death Watch, Night Watch. I don't remember what it's called.
Death Watch.
Death Watch. Okay. I don't
It's
know.
not a Space Marine legend.
There's-
Legion.
There's a chapter. Yeah, there's a chapter of the Death Watch, and Night Watch is a
Another
thing
one.
in the Dark Ravens.
And Baywatch.
And Baywatch is when they all go to have their summer vacation.
Hell yeah. Fucking the Sisters of Battle are there too. Because there's no female parties.
That's true.
And Doge Van Dyer.
Yeah, and Doge Van Dyer on his little throne.
Notice, in other words. And while the Death Wardens are largely
Death Warden.
occupied
There you
with
go.
protecting the people of Duskfall from ghosts, if you make too much work for them, they're going to take notice. And they're probably going to come after you.
Makes sense.
Being a murder hobo in this game, in other words, is a very bad idea because there's really no escaping what you've done. This is a game with a lot of interesting people to meet, and crossing every single one of them is probably a bad idea, but then that's the joy of being a scoundrel. Blades in the Dark is a game of who dares wins, and if you're going to piss somebody off anyway, you might as well go big. As well fleshed out as Blades is, however, I don't want to give you the impression that it is a completely rigid and inflexible lore system, because the game actually leaves several questions either partly or wholly unanswered, leaving you to fill in the blanks, like what's the deal with all of the ghosts? Is there a way to stop them being quite so horrible? Who are the Death Wardens? What do they want? What is the deal with the Leviathans? And what's outside the city?
More ghosts
There
and
is loads
Leviathans.
of room for you to weave your own lore around the existing stuff in Blades in the Dark, and while there are suggested goals and aims for each of the factions, what they get up to and how they act is really up to you.
As
it's
most
rich
things.
and detailed, in other words, but it's also pretty flexible. Blades in the Dark exclusively uses six-sided dice for its rolls. When you want to make a skill check, you consult the relative skill and pick up a number of d6 equal to the number of dots shown on your character sheet. You roll these dice and take the highest result from among that dice pool. A 6 is a success if you roll 2 of them, that's a critical success, and generally everything's gone swimmingly. Well done you! Roll 4 to 5 and you succeed, but there's a complication. You might successfully pick a door lock, for example, but maybe somebody downstairs hears you and comes to investigate. Or maybe you've talked your way into a party, but one of the guards doing security has started to follow you. On a 1 to 3, your roll has failed disastrously. You will meet with a consequence that will likely cause you harm, and at the very least, significantly change the parameters of the situation, maybe even the whole score. If you're worried about screwing up the roll, there are a couple of ways you can get bonus dice. You can push yourself, taking 2 points of stress for an extra d6,
there you
or
go.
you can take a devil's bargain. These are scenarios put to you by the GM, offering you a greater chance of success, but bringing a complication in to pay for it. For example, you might be able to lever open a window, but you'll break your sword in the process. Or you'll get an extra die to convince someone to do you a favour, but they're guaranteed to be offended and consider you an enemy from now on.
Makes sense.
They're lovely little twists of the knife.
So that
make
is
your
pushing
luck
the rolls.
exciting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is definitely more of the push the roll thing.
Yeah.
There's a few. I just want to see. There is like. He said 1 to 3 is just bad. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a slightly too big a margin for like crit fails.
I mean, I don't think it's gonna be crit fails. It's just you failed, right? I think this goes into the whole going into like the the scale of it's that bad and then this bad and then this bad, right? I think.
I still like the idea of the DC system. Like, you have 3 dice to roll, and you need a minimum score of 12 to pass.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm having the thing to meet is good. I'm also a fan of just numbers of success, right?
Like just successes.
Yes, that's usually what I like from skill-based things, of just like how Vampire does it, where you a 6 and up is a success, whilst everything else is not. And then 1 is actually bad if it's a hunger die, but I like the idea of it's a success or not, and then you go, well, you need 2 for this circumstance, or this one's a little harder, you need 3, or you don't even need to roll for that, all that kind of stuff. Which I assume maybe this is the way. Let me see about action rolls here. So the way that goes is player character does something challenging, make an action roll, see how it turns out. So the player states their goal. Your goal is the concrete outcome your character will achieve when they overcome the obstacle at hand. Usually the character's goal is pretty obvious in context, but it's the GM's job to ask and clarify the goal when necessary. The player chooses the action rating. Okay. The player chooses which action rating to roll, following from what their character is doing on screen. If you want to roll your skirmish action, then get in a fight. If you want to roll your command action, then order someone around. You can't roll a given action rating unless your character is presently performing that action in the fiction. The GM sets the position. There you go. Hey, Mog, how's it going? Once the player chooses their action, the GM sets the position for the roll. The position represents how dangerous or troublesome the action might be. There are 3 positions: controlled, risky, and desperate. To choose a position, the GM looks at the profiles for the positions below and picks one that most closely matches the situation at hand. By default, an action roll is risky. You won't be rolling if there is no risk involved. If the situation seems more dangerous, make it desperate. If it seems less dangerous, make it controlled. Then you set the effect level. The GM assesses the likely effect level of this action. Given the factors of the situation, essentially, the effect level tells us how much this action can accomplish. Will it have limited, standard, or great effect? Then you add bonus die if you get that. You can Devil's Bargain. Roll the dice and judge the results. Once the goal, action rating, position, and effect have been established, add any bonus dice and roll the dice pool to determine the outcome. The action roll does a lot of work for you. It tells you how well the character performs, as well as how serious the consequences are for them. You got the 6, the 4, 5, and 1 to 3. The worse your position, the worse consequences there are. Yeah, so I think it's quite literally like I think it is still kind of a DC system, in a way. It's just you have 3 numbers that you could fail on, or 3 numbers that you succeed on. That's it's not anything like you're getting a critical failure. It's just the consequences of what's happening around you are determined beforehand, and if you fail, you're going to have those consequences happen.
That's fair. I guess I'm not really a huge fan of it being a 6 is a success. 4 to 5 is a success, but you fuck up, and then 1 to 3 is just a straight failure and a fuck up. You know what I mean? I kind of wish it was like, I don't know. I don't really know what it is, what it should be, to be honest.
Yeah, go on.
They did the best that they could for making a D6 based system.
Very true.
However, I do agree that like straight up like having a 1 to 3 margin for failing is a bit high. However, do consider, Boo, the amount of times that you're going to roll a 1 to a 3 is like very small, given the fact that you roll 3 or 4 dice at a time.
Yeah, that is true. And then you just select the highest one. I guess I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that's how that works. So that's what I was going to say as well.
There's also the fact that I just don't really like having like a skill system based on D6s where half of them are like can just fail. Because like having a 6 always mean a success sort of takes some agency out of the DM's hands. When you are as a DM can like make a DC for a task, you can fully consider everything that is encompassed within that task and say, all right, the DC for this is 17 or a 23. And like you can arbitrarily make some very specific number instead of like a 6 a success. You can choose something very odd, but like it's a number that still is reflective, I guess, of how difficult the task is.
That's fair.
Like it doesn't have to be a multiple of 5 or 6 or 10. It can be 17.
Right.
So you're removing the ability of the DM to do that. And I think that like a very elegant fix that allows the DM to still retain that is by allowing the DM to set DCs, and then just make it so that you roll all of your dice at once. And you count them all up, and then you say, okay, it's this. Like all of my D6s combined, I'm able to roll 4 of them. and oh, look at that, I got a 24. And the DM goes, all right, the DC was a 17. Like, there's some members of the party that can only roll like 2d6 on a deception, and they just straight up could not pass.
Okay.
They're just not skilled enough.
Yeah. So
Well,
you maintain.
I guess my thing, I guess just to play devil's advocate for this, I guess, from what I gather, at least from what has been said, like, we're always in this, like, it even says you're going as intelligently as possible, so you've picked the route, the plan of which is going to play to your strengths the most, right? With the two, that idea of the two party members trying to deceive something, and not even being able to reach that goal, it doesn't seem like you would even go for that kind of option then. Just from the way that these plans seem to, at least seem to me, that they would be going for that kind of thing, that kind of route. I mean, the middle...
They wouldn't send the stealthy guy to go and tank 10 guards.
Right. In the middle of the game, when we're at a unforeseen complication, then sure, maybe the guy isn't going to be very very persuasive because he wasn't expecting it. That would make total sense, and in that case I would be like, okay, yeah, sure, there might be a chance that you completely fail, but for a lot of the things, like the major things, I feel like it would still be in that purview of like, we chose, this is the plan we're going for, right? While I agree, though, that I would prefer to have it be a DC of some sort, because I like my skill-based systems like Vampire, where I roll all of my dice together and the amount of successes is determined by, or the amount of successes determines if I pass the set DC of successes that I need, right? Because I have this dice pool that I've built up with all of these skills. I would rather have something like that.
You need the big number go up.
Yeah, I mean, and like, you do get the ability to have more dice to roll, because of because of assistance and pushing yourself, or the devil's bargain, which allows you to have more of a pool, and plus your preparation from beforehand that you, or I assume some of the stuff that you can take maybe gives you more die, like you might have a crowbar with you so that you can have better strength, quote-unquote, checks to,
open doors and shit,
crowbar open windows or locked things, like, stuff like that, I assume, though I don't know.
Yeah, you'd have better checks for getting the crows to socialize. I get that.
Yeah. Okay, there's a few things. Devil's Bargain example. The character is fighting someone in an alley with a spear. You can try using the spear length to your advantage, but you'll end up backing into the street, success or otherwise. Sure. Then it comes down to whether or not you want to risk being seen out in the open for the extra chance at success, or maybe try to counter-offer your own example. Anyone at the table can give bargains. The only time you don't take the highest die is if you don't have any points in a skill and don't take any extra dice, excuse me. Then you roll twice and take the lower roll, essentially disadvantage. The equivalent of setting a DC is setting the position and effect. Maybe it's both desperate and lesser effect, so even a success won't do as much as it could, and a failure could be catastrophic. Yeah, that's the other thing of the like it was saying, controlled, risky, and desperate. Those are your DCs, technically, but not in the same sense of I'm rolling to try to reach that. It's just, if I succeed, my consequence will be more limited in a risky situation rather than a desperate, or a controlled might just make it so that it's a little bit, like if I fail, it becomes more risky because, say, you're going through a deserted mansion. Fuck it. We're in a deserted mansion now. You thought that it would be deserted at this time of day because everybody's out in the courtyard, at their social get-together. And because of you fucking up your stealth or something, you accidentally clatter over a vase, and now some people have come in, and it's a little harder for you to stealth around, right? That could be either a failure or a success. I could see, like, being a 4-5. Maybe not a 4-5, actually. I don't know if I would do that personally, just because, like, succeeding and then maybe make, like, one person come in. But, like, a failure could get multiple people to come in, and, like, maybe now you have some sweeps or something, right? And then it becomes more risky.
Like a person comes in, but he assumes you're supposed to be there or something.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That
strikes up a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can play that being the success, but with the consequence. So now you have this other situation that's brought up, and now you have to get through that. In which case, it would be, at least for me, it would be more of a, how well are you role playing with this character? If you don't want to role play, then we can roll it out. That's fine. But if you want to role play it out, we might not even have to roll, so that you can get this guy out of your face and you can continue on, right? So I think having that, it works, I think. At least from my brain, it works fine. But I would, like, again, I agree, I would like to have some sort of actual physical DC that I could set, that I could then have my permutations behind, as well. Anyway.
And dingus all at once. Now, I mentioned stress just a moment ago, and this is one of the best mechanics in all of Blades in the Dark. As I already mentioned, you can use stress to buy extra dice, and you can use it to pay for flashbacks, but you can also use it to reduce the severity of any injuries you take. If you want to soften a blow, you can make a resistance roll. In a resistance roll, you take 6 stress minus the highest result of a stat roll. The cost can be anywhere between 1 and 5 stress, depending on how you roll, in other words. But given this mechanic allows you to save your character from dying, it's really handy. Stress is a really useful currency, in other words, but you do need to be careful because you can also take stress as a result of messing up a roll. Spending too much of it voluntarily then is a risky business because if you take too much stress, your character bugs out of the mission and takes a level of trauma. That's a condition that forever changes how your character plays, whether it makes them cold or vengeful, or gives them a new and strange obsession. The moment you take a 4th level of trauma, your character's nerves are shot. They simply don't have what it takes anymore to live life as a scoundrel in Duskfall, and they instantly retire, assuming they're not dead. The system in Blades in the Dark, then, is one that rewards you for taking risks and putting your character in the firing line. It affords you great power over how the game plays out, but the costs can be pretty steep. And to be honest with you, I think that's one of the reasons it's so great, because even if things go wrong and you take a level of trauma, or worse, your character straight up dies, it's kind of narratively interesting. And besides, death in Blades in the Dark isn't necessarily the end. You can come back as a ghost, and I'm really not kidding here, if you're good enough at being a ghost, you can take over a body and become a vampire. Or
hell
a robot, if you prefer. And at this point, I haven't even touched on the different character playbooks, which are basically very loose classes, as these help inform what your character is good at and what special abilities they have. You might be a cutter, for instance, specialising in brute force and melee combat. You could be a slide, using your silver tongue to charm your way past the enemy's defences. You could be a leech, tinkering with technology and dabbling in alchemicals to make the world around you into a deadly ally. And you could even be a whisper, tapping into the ghost field and forcing the spirits of the dead to do your bidding.
Oh, that's
there are plenty of other roles for you to take on, and you're allowed to switch playbooks if a certain playstyle is getting a bit stale.
Oh, you can just switch! Oh, that's so good. Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, I fucking, like, again, oh man, that sounds so fucking fun.
Dude, I want to make a system that's based around, like, 3 ghosts and one player, and all 3 ghosts, like, before session 0, you just decide that all 3 ghosts are bound to this person.
Sure. Yeah. And hell, dude, you could even have it so those 3 ghosts have each of their 3 specialties, and every time you need to interact with something, they could take over the person, right? And then they are the person like acting in the situation, right? And so they're using their specialties through him. Oh,
that'd be so broken.
Oh, but no. So it's like you can't interact.
It's functionally no different than like.
Well, I mean, you have one character with all these different things that he can do.
No. So this is the thing. The team is the ghosts.
Oh.
Got it. No, the team is the ghosts. The person is the one they manipulate through.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought the one person was the whole team. And
no.
It was just using the ghosts.
No, that would be crazy.
You could have like everyone in your party be a ghost, and the one human NPC that's just constantly getting like jackknifed around between the ghosts is a DMPC.
It's everyone is John.
Yeah, he's like trying to take his schizophrenia meds and some shit.
Yeah, and then just fucking, I'm in the theater now, and apparently I have this priceless
Where
play.
did these jewels come from?
Like, it's this script, this never-before-seen script.
It's the best, worst case of schizophrenia ever.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit, I forgot about vampires being possessions. That sounds fucking awesome. I want this. Being able to just switch classes like that. Yeah, dude. You can find it if you look up Blades in the Dark, and you can go to their website and buy the PDF or the book and PDF combo. Like, it seems really fucking cool.
Yeah, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
All this going on, it's hard to know what the true star of Blades in the Dark is, whether it's Duskwall itself, the characters, or the gang they represent. It's a lovely melting pot of ideas that plays well with small groups and big ones all the same. If there's one thing I don't like about it, it's that players can level up at a frankly alarming rate. That's not a problem in and of itself, but if you're running a campaign where the gang is very slowly gathering momentum and size, it feels weird to be doing all of these really small-scale jobs with hulking, great heroic characters.
Well, that's just
practically unstoppable. It can also be
that's just what they choose to do.
Well, you could also just temper the XP if you want to, you know. Let me look to see, because there's probably something on XP here. Advancement. He might actually talk about it. Let's let him go first.
A lot of the GM. Because the players are free to determine their own objectives and generate their own scores, you'll often find yourself launched into a mission with very little notice and absolutely no time to plan. And to be honest with you, I think that's a really good thing. Running a campaign of Blades in the Dark made me a palpably better GM, but dealing with the unexpected on such a large scale can take some getting used to, so if you can, just psych yourself up before the session a bit. But anyway, that's why you should play Blades in the Dark. It's a great system and a stunning setting that works well for one-shots and for long campaigns. I heartily recommend you give it a go. Blades in the Dark has also inspired a bunch of other games known as Forged in the Dark games, the latest of which is Band of Blades, a game built on the same rule system that instead has you playing as a legion desperately fleeing toward the last bastion of humanity with an army of undead nipping at its heels.
Bro!
If that sounds like fun, keep an eye out for our review, which will be coming fairly soon. Now hopefully...
Okay, okay, wait, is he gonna just sign off?
Enjoyed this video. If you...
Yeah, okay. Alright, that sounds cool as fuck. That is neat. Well, very cool.
As someone who never saw or read Game of Thrones, does that sound like, isn't that
no.
Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
Not in the slightest.
Okay. Just checking, because I don't know.
They have a video on Band of Blades as well. I bet they do. Yeah, this is probably, I assume this was like older. But yeah, okay, cool. The Stress and Trauma sounds cool too. It sounds like a great game to do beer and pretzels one night games. Yeah, no, Absolutely. This is something that I can see being like a very much like casual one-shot kind of game.
Yeah.
This screams one-shot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like occasionally we go, all right, we want to take a break from whatever we're doing, and then we just go through a score in Blades in the Dark.
Let's fucking steal shit. It's like when we play Payday. It's like, hey, every 3 years we decide to play Payday for a week, and then we just stop.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, so...
Okay, that Malanthrope was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Thank
That's
God.
Good. Especially if you're going to make everyone vampires that body snatch. Hell yeah. Yeah, so I do want to look at this advancement page, and I'm looking at, and I'll put it on the screen here in a second as I drag it over into this now. There we go. Oh no, that's the actual site where you can buy it. You can go on Evil Hat Productions and get this $30 for the book and PDF. I think it's.
You can also get
investment.
Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
You could also get that. That's true.
I love how there was somebody that actually did play it on YouTube.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
You could buy this, or you could get Thirsty Sword Lesbians and make a worthwhile purchase.
True. So, I'm looking at this page, and it's advancement, PC advancement, because I was interested because he said you get a lot, you go too fast, and I'm like, okay, so let's see how you get XP. Each player keeps track of experience points that their character earns. During the game session, mark XP. When you make a desperate action roll, mark 1 XP in the attribute for the action you rolled. For example, if you roll a desperate skirmish action, you mark XP in prowess. When you roll in a group action that's desperate, you also mark XP. At the end of the session, review the XP triggers on your character sheet. For each one, mark 1 XP if it happened at all, or mark 2 XP if it happened a lot during the session. The XP triggers are your playbook-specific XP trigger, for example, address a challenge with violence or coercion. To address a challenge, your character should attempt to overcome a tough obstacle or threat. It doesn't matter if the action is successful or not. You get XP either way. You express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. Your character's beliefs and drives are yours to define session to session. Feel free to tell the group about them when you mark XP. You struggled with issues from your vice or traumas. Mark XP for this if your vice tempted you to some bad action, or if a trauma condition caused you trouble. Simply indulging your vice doesn't count as struggling with it unless you overindulge. You may mark end of session XP on any XP tracks you want, any attribute or your playbook XP track. When you fill an XP track, clear all the marks and take an advance. When you take an advance from your playbook track, you may choose an additional special ability. So I assume that's for your class. When you take an advance from an attribute, you may add an additional action dot to one of the actions under the attribute. You can also earn XP by training during downtime. There you go. Nice. When you train, mark XP in one of your attributes or in your playbook. A given XP track can be trained only once per downtime phase. Also, you can advance your crew, apparently. At the end of the session, review the crew XP triggers and mark 1 crew XP for each item that occurred during the session. If an item occurred multiple times, mark 2, blah, blah, blah. Your crew-specific XP trigger, for example, the smugglers, is execute a smuggling operation or acquire new clients or contraband sources. If the crew successfully completed an operation from this, trigger mark XP. Contend with challenges above your current station. If you tangled with higher tiers or more dangerous opposition, mark XP.
So if you play on Death Wish at level 1.
Very much, yeah. Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. Review your crew's reputation. Did you do anything to promote it? Also mark XP if you developed a new reputation for the crew. Oh, dude, rep. Rep is always cool. Yeah. Express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. This one is very broad. Essentially, did anything happen that highlighted the specific elements that make your crew unique? When you fill your crew advancement tracker, clear the marks and take a new special ability or mark 2 crew upgrade boxes.
That's cool.
Say you've attained this new ability or upgrades for the crew. Right. For example, when a crew of assassins earns a crew advance, they could take a special ability like Predators, or they could mark 2 upgrades like Rigging and Resolve Training. Interesting. And then, of course, Profit. Every time a crew advances, each PC gets Stash, equal to the crew tier plus 2, to represent profits generated by the crew as they've been operating. Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's neat. So, a few games based on Forge in the Dark system. Scum and Villainy for space adventures. Hell yeah. Trophy Dark/Gold for tragic horror. Wicked Ones for fantasy dungeon building. A Band of Blades for pain. Nice. This seems like a great system to steal for heists and other operations for when you want less crunch and more story in normal TTRPGs. Yeah, yes. Absolutely. I highly recommend looking at the playbook and crew sheet to get a feel for how they look and feel. Yeah, that's probably, is that in the other video that I have prepared? We'll see, in fact. If it's not, we can find a character video and all that kind of stuff, later on. We'll see how much time we have left. But, for now, this is midpoint. So, yeah, that was a good video, by the way. Dicebreaker seems to be a pretty informative channel, from the, like, twice that we've seen it now, I think. Mm-hmm. Very good stuff. If you haven't yet, go sub to them. They also have an actual play that they did that he was talking about. Like, they do actual plays, so you can actually see Blades in the Dark being played if you are at all interested in that. But yeah, so, midpoint. Hi, everybody. Midpoint means shoutouts and chill talk. So, hey, if you're watching the stream and you think, wow, these guys are pretty cool, you can support us by subscribing. Wow! Legitimately, since I've started talking about it a little bit more, we have actually gained subs. Like, so we're at almost 550, I think, now?
Good.
Which is more people than I've seen in my lifetime, probably. All at once. But
that's definitely me too.
Yeah, so thank you so much to all of you who stick around and hang out and like our stuff enough to subscribe. Of course, you can like these things, and these are the free options, of course, comment and all of that. But we do have some stuff that you can do monetarily if you are able to and if you want to. That being Patreon.
For all of you out there who don't deem the podcast good enough to donate money to, I must ask, why am I not good enough for you?
Damn it. We have a Patreon over at patreon.com/TableTalkDND. You can join it if you'd like, and you can help support us and get us able to get more things, make new things, all that kind of stuff monetarily, as things cost a lot. Did you know that? I didn't.
It costs money.
It costs money to do things. So
it costs so much money to make my Tyranids, man.
that's not where it's going to. I promise.
Yeah, it's not.
But perhaps getting future systems to look at, or play for future campaign videos, even one shots just to see how we like them. That kind of stuff. As well as getting more stuff to get for you guys. But that being said, these are our patrons, starting from the top. Biggest shouts to Draco Kraken at that tier 3. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. We've got Mog Zero, who's been in the chat. Thank you so much as well, hanging out in tier 3. We have Slazer, also at tier 3. Appreciate you very much so. Steely, our first patron, holding up that tier 3 as well. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Drake Cross at tier 2. Holding the line as usual. Thank you so much. And then we have Chris at tier 1. thank you. Frozen Spaghetti at tier 1, thank you as well. And Kill Chrono at tier 1, thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally, Polyhedral, thank you so much for your donations. Appreciate you a lot. The other thing you can do if you don't want to do the monthly subscription is, of course, you can donate to the stream directly. There's a donation link to access via a bot command in the chat, or you can go on our website, tabletalkdnd.us, and there is a PayPal link that you could just donate to that way if you want, if we're not streaming at the time. Really, it's up to you, but please don't do this unless you really want to and are financially able to. We stress that.
Yes.
The other thing, of course, is if you want merch, the Table Talk logo is on t-shirts and other things over at TeePublic. So go check it out over there if you would like as well. One other thing that I don't promote as often, but is another way that you can support us, is joining our Discord. We have a Discord server. Come hang out in it. We talk to people occasionally. But also, people talk to other people that are part of the community. And it's really cool, and it's fun to see. And, you know, we hang out.
Got some goodness on there, too.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, that's all that shoutouts and shill talk. Oh, one other thing that I want to say for those who may not have been there for the stream last week, and also the stream, maybe the VOD even, maybe you're not interested in watching a guy build orcs for 6 hours.
It was for 6 hours?
Yeah, I went for 6 hours. After
Holy
you left,
shit.
I went for another like 3 or something. I don't remember.
So how many orcs did you build? 3?
I built 2 orcs, and then I built the Death Dread entirely.
Did it take Jesus Christ?
Yeah, the Death Dread took. I was starting to fucking feel it. It was like 2 in the morning by the time I was done.
Ah, fair enough.
So it took me a lot longer. Plus, I got off topic, and after a while I got really off topic, and we started talking about movies and shit. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was really fun though. So that was that week, but in future, probably aren't going to be doing that kind of thing as a mainline episode. Maybe on occasion we'll hang out and do painting and building streams, you know, just to have as a little hangout in between thing on occasion. Yeah. Very much on occasion. It's going to be whenever we can, because usually I don't have time anymore because of job.
Although be careful that make sure you buy the paints that you actually need this time.
Yes, yeah, I will. I did find that I have some non-metal metal plate paints that I got. I don't remember exactly what they are.
Non-metal paints
or whatever. I don't know what it's I don't know exactly what it is, but they are from Vallejo actually. And I got them as a Christmas present, and I never realized. So apparently they're good for metal, in which case I have some that are good for my Necrons. So I could actually...
Necrons are metal models?
Well, no. What I mean is...
it's a metal color, but it's not metallic.
Yes.
Got it.
They'll look like metal, so I might actually be able to paint Necrons before I paint orcs.
Nice. You gotta choose an actual color scheme.
Yeah, no, I actually have had one in mind for a while, which is good.
That's good.
So yeah, those will be on occasion. And during that stream, in fact, I did say, hey, if you're out there and you have some interesting lore that you've written for your own like world, or you have like maybe a homebrew kind of thing, perhaps if you would like for us to maybe look over it during a one of the episodes and like critique it, or you know, just give our general thoughts on such things, you could send it our way to our email, tabletalkdnd at gmail.com, I believe. Or is it D&D? It's been a while, but it'll be in the description, the link to our email when this goes up as a VOD. It's also, you can find it on our website. It is in the footer. So if you would like, and you want us to maybe look over your stuff, let us know. We can do that. It'll be fun. I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, that's enough for all of that. That's all the things out of the way. Let us continue on with what we usually do here.
To put more things in the way.
Yeah! Stumbling blocks. I love them.
Yeah.
So, this next video is also about Blades in the Dark. I think it's a shorter one, if I remember correctly. Give me a moment while I switch the scene so that it does this right. Good, and then I put the video in here. Yes. So this is... This is how to Blades in the Dark by The Flickering Torch. It's like a less than 6-minute video, so we'll see what we learn, if we learn anything different. Because I figured having that basis is good, and then we have something that hopefully says this is how things work a little bit more in depth. Maybe. We'll see.
Hello and welcome to The Flickering Torch. On today's episode, we're going to be teaching you how to play Blades in the Dark. So this how-to is basically going to be how to do ability checks in Blades in the Dark.
Memorable.
It's not a replacement for the core rulebook. It's more to get your players in the first session so they don't have to sit and read the whole thing before you sit down to play. So, just real quick, what is Blades in the Dark? Blades in the Dark is the first Forged in the Dark system, playing Victorian-esque gang members in a fantasy city full of ghouls and horrors. If you want to watch us play Blades in the Dark, there's a title card there. So how do you play Blades in the Dark? And how do you do what the game calls action rolls? Now, the GM will call for an action roll when anything could narratively happen where failure has a consequence. So how do you do an action roll in Blades in the Dark? Well, it's actually really, really simple. The first thing you do is you describe your action to the GM in a way that kind of invokes one of your abilities. So let's take getting into this chest, for instance. This is my Blades in the Dark character, Aldrich Booker. Let's say he needs to get into this chest. Let's say there's coins or jewels or something in this chest that he needs to get. Now, just off the top of my head, I can think of two very different ways of getting in this chest. Either A, Aldrich here could use some thieves' tools, tinker or finesse the lock, and open it. Or, which is a little bit more likely if you've watched the stream, he would use Wreck to smash the thing open. So now we've decided kind of on what ability we're going to use to make our action roll. We now need to look at what the position and what the effect is going to be. Positions are usually one of three things. You will have a control position where you're in control of the situation right now. It's not got much risk to you to do this action. You then have risky. This is kind of the default. And this is where your action will have a consequence, but it won't be massively serious. Finally, you have desperate, and this is the worst of the worst. If you have to roll in a desperate situation, you get 1 XP, which is lovely, but you're going to try and avoid desperate situations as much as possible. Here, this means that kind of your consequences will be very serious for failing. Next, effect. And I think we can describe this quite easily. So, let's say that Aldrich's lockbox is currently standard. This is a standard lockbox that we're trying to break into. Now, what would a great effect be on this lockbox? Well, if we had a smaller lockbox, for instance, that'll do. A smaller lockbox like this, we're going to have great effects on because it's tiny and we can smash it probably with one hand. However, what kind of thing would be a limited effect? A limited effect might be this bigger lockbox, where Aldrich's going to have an even harder time smashing into it. You can also have zero effect, where your action basically has no effect. Right, so I know what you're thinking. You know what you're going to use, you know what the effect is, you know what the position is. So can I roll the dice now? Well, you could, but you might want to tip the odds slightly in your favour, and there's two ways of doing this. First, you can push yourself, gaining 2 stress, but getting an extra bonus dice. Or, and I think the way more fun option, is you can accept a devil's bargain. Now, a devil's bargain is a consequence to your action that happens no matter what. So, you might, for instance, have to set up a maritime legal firm if you use maritime law every 5 minutes to try and get yourself out of trouble with the police. Yes, that is a thing that happens on the live stream. Or perhaps if you go to stab someone, you'll be covered in their blood. Stuff like this where no matter if it's a pass or a fail, this thing is going to happen. You're going to suffer this consequence. Now, you can only choose one. Either you take the stress or you take the devil's bargain. You can also choose to not do either of these things if you don't think you need the bonus dice. Right, so now you roll, and you're going to be rolling a number of d6 equal to that action. So Aldrich has decided here not to smash the box. He's going to use finesse, and he has 2 points in finesse. So that means he's rolling 2 6-sided dices and taking the highest number on those dice. So
Okay, so now we're at a point that I actually, like, am paying attention more. Because this is all stuff that we knew before, which is unfortunate. But I want to roll it back for this, because I just need to now pay attention to this part, because this is what I wanted, of, like, how does this work?
This consequence. Now, you can only choose one. Either you take the stress or you take the devil's bargain. You can also choose to not do either of these things if you don't think.
I went back a little too far, but you know.
Right, so now you roll, and you're going to be rolling a number of d6 equal to that action. So Aldrich has decided here not to smash the box. He's going to use finesse, and he has 2 points in finesse. So that means he's rolling 2 6-sided dices and taking the highest number on those dice. So if he rolls a 4 and a 5, he's going to take the 5. If he rolls a 1 and a 5, he's going to take a 5. The only time this changes is if you roll 2 6s, and that's a critical success. So here we roll a 4 and a 5, we take a 5. Now, let's see what the dice actually do. So, if our highest score is a 1 to a 3, we suffer some kind of complication. Maybe the guards burst in before we can open the lockbox. On a 4 or a 5, we succeed, but something goes wrong. So maybe the lockbox's lock is open, but then the bottom falls out, and the coins go spilling everywhere. Something to that effect. On a 6, we just complete our action with no negative consequence. We open the lock and get inside. And finally, on a critical success, which again is 2 6s, we have an increased effect. So maybe we manage to get the lock off the lockbox incredibly quickly. So let's take a different tact. Let's see if we chose Wreck instead. Now, Aldrich doesn't have anything at all in Wreck. So what do we do at this stage? So now you're rolling 2 dice and using the lowest of the 2. So if you have a 6 and a 1, you will get the 1.
Right.
It kind of works like disadvantage in D&D. So there are a bunch of other things you need to know before you start a heist, but I'm sure your GM can go over those. This was just kind of a quick introduction so you kind of know how the dice mechanics.
Refreshing.
I mean, it basically stopped at the point where it was over. That's the thing. He's already, like, basically done. He's talking about the disadvantage thing, and then that's about it. Man.
Yeah.
Like,
so good podcast.
I mean, well, no, obviously that's not going to be enough, but like, I was hoping for maybe a little bit more than that in 5 minutes, and I understand it is 5 minutes, and I thought maybe I was thinking too much, but let me check that, because I see Nugs sent an example of the playbook and crew in the Discord. So let me go and look at that on my phone real quick, just before putting it up on stream. Just to see if that will work for what I would like to go over. Because I was trying to look up a shorter thing on character creation, a video on character creation, but I wasn't finding anything that wasn't, like, specifically on that, and also less than an hour. Or part of a, like, an actual play, right? Because that's not what I'm here for, unfortunately. So, yeah.
We could just have a podcast where we review one video and have it be that hour-long video.
Yeah, we could
be
definitely.
Here for 8 hours, though.
We could definitely in the future, absolutely. But at the moment, that is not the desire. Let me look at this. Whisper playbook and Bravo's crew sheet. Okay. Yeah, that'll help. Okay. So let me get those real quick here. Let me just let him finish, by the way.
Work. See more Blades in the Dark content, please let me know.
Oh, okay. No, he was actually done. Okay. Well, that's how that is. Okay. Thank you, Nugs, for this these sheets here. That'll help a lot.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm gonna head out because I'm starting to fade really fast.
That's fine. Absolutely. No worries.
I'm sorry. Blades in the Dark seems fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I would love to play it, but I'm not gonna run it.
That's fine. Yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah. So you guys have a good rest of the podcast. Good luck. Have fun. Love you. Love you guys' money, and goodbye.
See ya.
I also have some bad news.
Oh.
I've got an appointment early tomorrow morning. So I was going to leave, and then Boo interrupted me with him leaving. And I was like, oh.
Well, I guess I am the podcast again, everyone.
I was like, do I just stay and be tired tomorrow? And no. My body's at the point now where it will no longer function.
Please go get some rest, dude. That's totally fine. It's just one of those things. We're all working men. We got shit to do. I understand.
Good luck.
No worries, dude. Thanks so much.
Goodbye, all you beautiful subscribers.
Fucking hell. Get out of here. Leave.
Only donate to the podcast if you're in a position of financial stability.
Of course, yes. There he goes. Okay. Well, I'm gonna end this call then, I guess, and put up the just me logo avatar. It's just me now. Hello. What a time. What a time. Well, unfortunately, it is just me again, but that doesn't mean we can't have some discussion here. So, bye guys, sleep well. I hope you're on time for your appointment. Yeah, exactly. Wish them well and everything. Thankfully, I don't have anything I have to do in the morning. I have a D&D game that I'm going to be a part of and hosting here at my house, actually, because we all have our fucking vaccinations, which is great, and we can actually play in person again, which is fantastic. So, yeah. So I'll be here, so I'm going to look over these things with you all, and we're going to just see how this goes. So, let me just get these up right here. So I can see. Okay, so here it is. So, oh, wrong one. There it is. All right. So, as you can see, this is a screenshot from our good old boy Nugs. Appreciate you. Thank you for this. So let's look it over and see what's going on. And while this is happening, I'll even... Not this one. This one! I'll have this over here, and we can switch to it on occasion if we have things that we need to look at and have explained, you know? So, let me get to characters, character creation. Okay. And then there's playbooks. Oh my god, I don't even know what these mean. Okay, so, here we go. So, this is for a whisper, it looks like. They have special abilities here. And you have where your crew and alias and name can be, and your look, that's cool. Your heritage, as well as your background. Okay. A vice, very cool. So, let's read along with Blades in the Dark's website. You can find this at bladesinthedark.com, in fact. This is just under character creation, under the characters. In fact, you could go to bladesinthedark.com/character creation. This says, create playbooks. A playbook is what we call the sheet with all the specific rules to play a certain character type in the Blades-powered game. For example, you might create a playbook called a soldier, with special abilities related to battle, or a playbook called a medic, with special abilities related to field medicine. When you choose a playbook, you're choosing a set of special abilities, which gives your characters ways to break the rules in various ways. That's a weird thing to read. You said ways twice. Okay. And a set of XP triggers, which determine how you earn experience for character advancement. But every playbook represents a scoundrel at heart. The cutter has special abilities related to combat, but that doesn't mean that you're the fighter, quote-unquote, of the game. Any character type can fight well. Think of your playbook as an area of focus and preference, but not a unique skill set. This is why we call them playbooks rather than character classes or archetypes. You're selecting the set of initial action ratings and special abilities that your character has access to, but you're not defining their immutable essence or true nature. Your character will grow and change over time. Who they become is part of the fun of playing the game. Once you've chosen your playbook, follow the steps below to complete your character. Choose a heritage. Your character's heritage describes their family line, where their family line is from. When you choose a heritage, write a detail about your family life on the line above. I see. Okay. So you've got this. Your character's background describes what they did before they joined the crew. Choose a background and then write a detail about it that's specific to your character. And then you have 4 action dots, which are these over here, if I had to guess. Your insight, prowess, and resolve. These sections. Your playbook begins with 3 action dots already placed. Okay, I see. So the Whisper has study and 2 and attune. Okay. You get to add 4 more dots, so you'll have 7 total. At the start of the game, no action rating may have more than 2 dots unless a special ability tells you otherwise. Assign your 4 dots like this. Put 1 dot in any action you feel reflects your character's heritage. Put 1 dot in any action that you feel reflects your character's background. Assign 2 more dots anywhere you please. Max rating is 2, remember. Okay. So then you have, like, insight for hunt, study, survive, and tinker. So I assume hunt is, like, when you're trying to track down somebody. Studying is looking for information. Surveying is looking around the area, I assume, like your perception stat. And then tinker is something like your what's it called? Just creation like ability or craft ability, if you will. Then you have prowess for finesse, prowl, skirmish, and wreck. Very much okay, so it combines dexterity and strength, really, in that kind of this whole thing. And you can have a max of 4, I've just noticed as well. That's interesting. Okay, and then you have stash up here and coin. Really interesting. Resolve is attune, command, consort, and sway. So your resolve is both like your wisdom, quote unquote, and your charisma, quote unquote, it looks like. And then insight. Well, insight would also be this. Actually, no, insight is more intelligence plus wisdom, I suppose. If we're going by like standard D&D stats and all of that. Yeah, and then this one is more, I guess this one is pure charisma in a way. Although attune wouldn't be that much. So it's a little bit of everything for those two. Or not everything, but you know, those overlapping stats. If you want to try to equate it to something like D&D or Pathfinder. Interesting. So choose a special ability. Take a look at the special abilities for your playbook and choose one. If you can't decide which one to pick, go with the first one on the list. It's placed there as a good default choice. Oh, so you could pick any of these? Oh, that's sick. Okay, that's really cool. So compel, you can attune to the ghost field to force a nearby spirit to appear and obey a command to give it. You give it. You're not supernaturally terrified by a spirit you summon or compel, though your allies may be. Fair enough. Ghost Mind, you're always aware of supernatural entities in your presence. Take +1 die when you gather info about the supernatural. Very cool. Iron Will, you're immune to the terror that some supernatural entities inflict on sight. Take +1 to resistance rolls with resolve. Occultist, you know the secret ways to consort with ancient powers, forgotten gods, or demons. Once you've consorted with one, you get +1 to command cultists who worship it. I see. Ritual, you can study an occult ritual or create a new one to summon a supernatural effect or being. You know the arcane methods to perform ritual sorcery. You begin with one ritual already learned. Interesting. You can actually create new rituals in this, which is very cool. Like, you could probably make it so, I wonder if like you could make a ritual of banishment, you know? If that's even possible, because the way that it sounds sounds like the Death Guard. The Death Guard are able to, or are the only ones who are able to do that, though I don't know. You probably fight ghosts and technically banish them, quote unquote, by killing them again, quote unquote. I've just realized that this hasn't been up. Hello. So I wonder what the actual rituals are pertaining to, or sorry, the limitations of rituals, right? If there even is. It'd be interesting if there wasn't. Well, there has to be, right? It's probably whatever your GM decides. Strange methods. When you invent or craft a creation with arcane features, take +1 to your die roll, or to your roll, excuse me. You begin with one arcane design already known. I see. You can push yourself to do, with Tempest, you can push yourself to do one of the following. Unleash a stroke of lightning as a weapon. Summon a storm in your immediate vicinity. Torrential rain, roaring winds, heavy fog, chilling frost, snow, etc. What? That's crazy. Warded, you may expend your special armor to resist a supernatural consequence or to push yourself when you deal with arcane forces. And choose an ability from another source with Veteran. I see. Interesting. Okay. Whisper and Cult are definitely a bit of a standout among the other classes since they're the only truly supernatural ones. I see. Interesting. Oh, and here's your XP. So every time you do the Desperate, address the challenge, express your beliefs, all of that. Where is the tracker for this? I don't see the tracker. Huh. I do enjoy that it does have the all of the things you can choose here. Like you can assist, lead, protect, and set up as something you can do to help with your team. And then it also has the planning and load limit. Choose your load limit for the operation. So this has all the plans, but it doesn't have the load limits. Oh, this is the loads. Oh! Okay. So you can have, is that 3? That's 3 light. Okay. 5 normal and 6 for heavy loads. And then you have all of these to choose from. That's very interesting. Okay. Tracker is top right above insight. Thank you very much. Oh, this is your playbook. I see. So you mark this off. You need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 experience every time to do your level up, quote unquote. Your advancement. That's very few, actually. Because I guess it really depends on what your GM puts you through. Because your desperate actions, you might not ever have a desperate action happen, right? And then the rest of this is how you do it, right? For the other thing, it's for your the other thing we were talking about for experience was your crew experience, and that's stuff that will just happen naturally from being a part of the crew. But for yourself, a lot of this is up to you, which is cool. So his complaint about in the Dicebreaker video, the guy's complaint, I've already forgotten his name, unfortunately, but the guy's complaint on the amount of XP being very often is really up to him. So I guess if they keep failing and keep putting themselves into the desperate situations, that is also going to affect it. Though I would imagine you could, just like in anything, just decide that something doesn't automatically push it into a desperate action, you know? 8 XP to level up a playbook, 6 XP to level up a stat, and then the items are the general items on the right, and each class has special items next to strange friends they can also choose from. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, okay, so if you want the playbook entirely, that's for your special abilities. And then for each of the stats, that's where you put your points. Okay. I see. I was misunderstanding. I thought this was overall. But no, that's okay. That's absolutely cool. I like that. And then you have the Fine Lightning Hook, all of these Demon Bane charms. Okay. Your strange friends. A witch. Oh, a demon. A vampire. A possessor ghost. A spirit trafficker. A spirit trafficker? That sounds awesome. There's a spirit trade. Like an underground illegal spirit trade. That sounds sick. Gather information, specific stuff. I do like these little sheets. These little sheets are very concise and give you a lot of what you can do on them, so you don't have to worry about, like, you know, looking into, say, the rule book to go, what am I able to do for my action, like in something like D&D. You might have people that aren't able to remember all the actions. Although, what I mean by that is, like, the general actions, right? Like taking dodge or, you know, disengaging and all that kind of stuff. So having those right there is very useful. And obviously on your sheet for your character, you can write whatever you want. But it's just nice to see that inclusion, just to have. And again, on load, you choose a load limit, and then during the encounter, you check off items as you use them. Up to the load limit, you can choose that you choose before the encounter began. So light load, only 3 boxes. Right, so if you're using an item, say I'm in a battle, if I have a large weapon, which would be 2 boxes, so that would be 2 out of my 3 light loads, right? If I were to do that, I don't assume that I can't use my large weapon the whole time. There's some things here that we could continuously use, because I don't think if you use them if you check them off as you use them, wouldn't you check them off before so that you know what you have, right? So that would be interesting if I was able to, during the heist, just choose anything that I have here to use in that certain circumstance, right? Is it like you have all these options, but once you choose something, you have that only in that instance? I'm sorry, you have that for the rest of the score, you know? Part of the flashback idea. You don't have to say exactly what you had going in. Okay. Interesting. Yes. Okay. 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 I understand now. That's a little... That's a little to me, but at the same time, I understand it. So... I don't know, man. I don't know. Special armor. Some special abilities refer to your special armor. Each character sheet has a set of 3 boxes to track usage of armor. Down here? These. Standard, heavy, and special. If you have any abilities that use your special armor, tick its box when you activate one of them. If you don't have any special abilities that use special armor, then you can't use that armor box at all. Okay. So this one of these did that. This one. Worded. You expend your special armor to resist a supernatural consequence, or to push yourself when you deal with arcane forces. So what I assume that means from what it's saying is that if I use this ability, Warded, and then I check off my armor, that means my armor is gone? Because I'm expending it. But wouldn't I have had to choose this beforehand to make that possible? Interesting. Exactly that. You have that for the rest of the score. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So if you walk in and claim heavy weapon on your person, you get 1 more box to use as you see 4. But when you claim it, it's always been there and you can't change it. I see. Okay. So I would have to claim this armor beforehand in order to even be able to use my warded ability. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to me. It's very weird to me, this whole flashback process, right? For Warden, yes. Warden is a special ability, so it's always available once per score. Once? Only once? Oh, all of these are only once? Oh, that's unfortunate. Choose one close friend and one rival. Choose your vice, right? Name, character creation summary. That's it. Cool. Interesting. Okay, so let's look at the other thing, sorry, awarded. No, you're good. Let's look at the sheet here, the crew sheet, because this seemed very interesting to me. And I think, yeah, the crew playbook. Okay. So I have this to now look at as well. So, oh, interesting. Oh, okay. So yeah, you have this whole thing for, oh, you can have cohorts to your crew. That's nice. Okay. Interesting. And they have specific levels of quality. Very cool. And then they have their own special abilities that give you more die to your plans. That's neat. Just warded. If it says to expel special armor, that means that you use it and then it's gone. Other special abilities are always available. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. So then, here we go. We have rep here, heat and wanted level. Where is my... Here we go, crew XP. Okay, there's that. And that's where that is. Okay, so short description of crew. Why does this say you're murderers? Wait, what? Interesting. Okay, starting upgrades. First upgrade and second upgrade. So you get 2 upgrades. Like Bravos rigging, 2 free load of weapons or armor. Ooh. Is that for everyone? That's great. Iron Hook contacts, +1 tier in prison. Nice. Okay, so that makes it easier for you to, like, maybe have influence over other prisoners. Elite Rovers and Elite Thugs. Hardened. And then you have layer quality training and cohorts. Oh, okay, so this is what you can train. Or what you are training? It probably says over here. Favored operations. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Oh, interesting. Oh, you even have, like, this is where your layer is. This is the turf of just nothing. This is just regular turf. And then you have each of these... Wait. What is... Oh, no, this is the rep tree, I guess. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that first. Oh god, there's so many things you can do for your crew. Oh, that's ridiculous. There's a bunch of... Here, I'll show it. There's a bunch of crew... This is the claim map. Okay. Oh, okay. So getting a turf here corresponds to you require 1 less rep to advance in tier. I see. And you can have 6 max turf. Okay, so this is your map of claims that you can do in total. I see. So then each of these gives a specific buff and makes it easier for your rep to go up. +2 coins for battle or extortion. Okay. And then I assume, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Okay. I assume this is like using a specific crew playbook, which is unknown to me. It's just the murderer crew playbook, I guess. Interesting. You have coins here, vaults here. This one's stash, right? Okay. I like the idea of being able to upgrade both yourself as well as upgrade your entire like gang or crew, right? Because then you have an overall upgrade that applies to everybody. And then you have your personal stuff. So it's always going to be good, or sorry, it's always going to benefit everyone every time, regardless. And like your specialized character can also make your individual actions in the scores easier or harder depending on what they do. But yeah, no, this is super neat. Yeah, no, I'm super into this system. Not so much a few bits of it, just because of the fact of I've not played it and I enjoy other things a little bit more. But that's just, how I am with like things like skill-based systems like Vampire, or just skill-based things like Call of Cthulhu, with how they do their kinds of things. But I assume this works very well, and it's beloved for a reason. And again, super interested to like actually play it with the guys. Hopefully we can do it as like a one-shot or something at some point, because I think that would be the best way for us to do it. Get one of us to just run it as a one-shot and see how we feel after that. The obviously the only contention we would have is the whole flashback system, but it does have the risk versus reward thing, which will mitigate some concern. So that's cool. I'm into that. So, I think, unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for today, for me, because I just wanted to look at a little bit of character creation and all that stuff, just to round it out, and show a little bit. Again, if you are interested in Blades in the Dark, it is over on Evil Hat Productions. It's $30 for the book and PDF. There is just a PDF option that you can get that's probably like half as much. I don't actually know. Let me see. You can go from this site to it. So let's see. It's $20 for just the PDF. Okay, there you go. TTRPG. So yeah, I sent the cult as well real quick if you want to take a look at it. Okay. Yeah, why not? Okay. We'll look at that really quick here. So you can actually be a cult. That's very cool. Ancient Tower, +1 to consort with arcane entities on sites. That's neat. Glory Incarnate. Your deity sometimes manifests in the physical world. This can be a great boon, but the priorities and values of a god are not those of mortals. You have been warned. Dude. Okay, that's sick. Your cohorts abandon all reason to devote themselves to the cult. They will undertake any service, no matter how dangerous or strange. They gain +1 to rolls against enemies of the faith. Wow. Each human sacrifice yields -3 stress costs for any ritual you perform. Very nice. We can just destroy people to make our rituals better, of course. Man, that's so cool. I am super into this, like I said, like I keep saying. But yeah, okay, so this is where your layer is, I guess. Yeah, that's where your layer is, and then this is the quality of the layer. I don't know. I'd have to look through the actual like rules to understand this a bit more. But from my limited understanding of what I can get off of that site, It all seems fucking awesome. Again, just a couple of contentions, and that's about it. But that's fine. That is totally okay. Again, I feel like it'd be a fun thing to try, and I hope this has inspired people to go out and try it themselves. Maybe again we'll do a one shot and you can see it in practice. But obviously there are other actual plays out there that you can find that hopefully you can use to judge if you like it or not. Probably more in-depth videos as well that we probably won't cover necessarily on the stream, on the show here. So I guess that's gonna be it for me for today. For all of us here, thank you very much for hanging out and watching and listening and giving your input. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Again, thank you to our patrons. That is in total all of these people: Draco Kraken, Mog Zero, Slazer, Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Frozen Spaghetti, Kill Chrono, Polyhedral. Thank you to all of you. We really appreciate your support. And glad you guys are taking a look at the system. If you do another video on the system or any of its branching games, I'll happily join in on the stream to try to help clarify. Have a good one. Thanks, Nugs. Yeah, absolutely. We'll probably look at other bits of the system, or maybe more of this later on. We're going to be branching out to do a bunch more of that kind of stuff, as usual. Sorry, I kind of monopolized the chat. No worries, dude. People have the, you know, they're either learning or they're not, and they either want to say stuff or they don't. That's just how it is. So, again, thank you to everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Like the video. Go check out the website. Go to our Discord. All that kind of shit. Appreciate you, and we'll see you next week for something else. Yeah. Bye. Oh, don't forget. Yeah. Baby, yeah, let's go. Don't forget as well. I almost forgot to do it. Hey, podcast is live on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whatever that is in your time zone, I don't know. I'm sorry. Look up a conversion. I believe in you. And then again on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, as an audio-only podcast version on Mondays at around 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, dang, it's over. Sorry, miscellaneous. Yeah, it's already over. And yeah, Devils and Dice is on Wednesdays. When we have done that, I have one in the works that I forgot to put together, unfortunately. So it'll be a bit staggered. We'll see how it goes. But hopefully I can get that up tonight and into tomorrow for patrons to see first, and then for the public. But that is on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check it out. It's real fun. We're going through a pretty cool arc right now. So get in there. And other than that, that's about it. Thanks again to the new subs. There's a lot of you. We're up a lot, and that's crazy. And I hope you continue to enjoy what we put out. Feel free to leave suggestions and shit in the comments, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'll see you next week, and so will the other guys. So, thanks for watching, and goodbye.